Let's jump right into today's lesson. We are going to practice with decimals, and then we will have a little conversion practice. Here we go. To practice with decimals, the first thing that we are going to do is fill in the missing numbers on the number line. That's what we're doing first. We're filling in the missing numbers on the number line. Well, how does that look? Let's get started. We can see that it's already divided for us, and we are putting the missing numbers on these lines. I'm going to use my text box so it's easy to read. 1/100. How do I know that? Because when I look at my place value chart, if I type this number on my chart, 0.01, that 1 is in the hundredths column, 1/100. Think of this again as having 1 penny, 1/100. As I go back to my assignment, next on my number chart would be 2/100. And then 3/100. Continue filling in the number chart until you reach 8/100. Number 2 is a little tricky, but I know that we can do this together. Number 2 is a little tricky, but I know that we can do this together. We know after 7/10, again, I'm thinking of my place value chart, that 7 is in the 10th place value. 7/10, and then 8/10, and then 9/10. Now let's think about this. We'd want to put 10, 0.10, but no, we want to take this to a whole number. So we wouldn't say 10/10. We would think of it as a whole. So our missing number here would be a whole. One whole number, 1.0. Instead of 10/10, if I wrote it as 0.10, 0.10 that wouldn't work with it. 10/100 would equal a whole number. So that's why we have 1 as this whole number. Then we could continue with our tenths, 1.1, and then what would be next? Absolutely, 1.2. Keep going until you reach 1 5/10. Keep going until you reach 1 5/10. For number 3, we are going to look at this ruler that's going to help us, and we're going to follow the directions on the ruler below. Make a dot at 7 centimeters and label it with the letter A. Make a dot and then label it with the letter A. The first thing I'm going to do is change my thickness. Make a dot at 7 centimeters. Here we go. And label it with the letter A. Let me put a capital A. Make that a little larger so you can see here. Then, that was the easy part because we know this ruler is divided by centimeters. It tells me on the ruler, it says the measurement is centimeters. That's how I know I'm already looking at centimeters. But for number 4, we have to make a dot at 90 millimeters and label it with the letter B. We have to make a dot at 90 millimeters and label it with the letter B. We're going to convert 90 millimeters to centimeters. So we are going to convert 90 millimeters to centimeters. How do you do that, you may ask? This will help us and give us a little tip here. we need to know, in order to convert or change millimeters to centimeters, we need to know that 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. So for every 10 millimeters, we have 1 centimeter. Well, what do I mean by that? 1 centimeter is going to be 10 millimeters. 2 centimeters, how many millimeters would that be? Yes, 20. And we're trying to get all the way to 90 millimeters. How can I convert 90 millimeters to centimeters? That's right. We're going to divide it by 10 because 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter. We are going to divide by 10. 90 divided by 10. How many groups of 10 will we have in 90? Yes, 9. So therefore, 90 millimeters equals 9 centimeters. 90 millimeters equals 9 centimeters. So I'm going to put a dot where the 9 is on my centimeters and label it B. We converted millimeters to centimeters, and we know that 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. Now, we are going to make a dot at 0.13 meters. 0.13 meters. Now remember, we're going to use this on our centimeter chart. So there's something that we need to know here. Oops. We need to know that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. Woo! That's some pretty big math to know that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. And then we're going to label that C. What do we need to do here? Let's think about this. This time, we had a smaller measurement on 4, but now we have a larger measurement. What do we need to do? Yes, this time we are going to multiply 13.13 meters, 1,300 meters. We are going to get my drawing tool here. And we are going to multiply by 100. 0.13 times 100. Just a cool thing to know. When we have these 2 zeros in our hundreds, let's just move our decimal point. We have 2 zeros. You're going to move it to the right 2 times. 1, 2. So I know this number is now 13 centimeters. Going back to my tool here. I'm going to label 13 centimeters. Put a dot at 13 centimeters and label it C. I know that's fast, but just bear with me because we're going to have a little more measurement practice in just a moment. Finally, we are going to make a dot at 0.06 meters or 600th meters and label it with the letter D. Do we need to divide by 10 or multiply by 100? Yes, we're going to multiply by 100 because we are converting meter, our longer measurement, to centimeters, which is smaller. And if you want to see what that looks like, go back to the video right before this lesson that I posted. I know, video after video, but I promise it'll make it easier. Let's go ahead and multiply by 100. And when I'm multiplying this decimal, I can move it to the right, especially if it's by 100. I'm converting. So I have 6 centimeters. How did I get 6? I multiplied 0.06 times 100 from meters to centimeters. For every 1 meter is 100 centimeters. Here, why did I move the decimal? I'm moving it by place value. I have 2 zeros, so I moved it to the right twice. And I'm going to label it D. Let's keep going. Now, we are going to write if it's greater than or less than. Now we're going to decide if these decimals are greater than, less than, or equal to, or less than, greater than, or equal to. Is 1.2 or 1 and 2 greater than, equal to, or less than 12 hundredths? Yes, we automatically know that 1 and 2 is greater than, I'm changing the size of my drawing tool. That was a little too large. We know it's greater than immediately because we have a whole number in 1 and 2. We know that 12 hundredths is just part of a number. Well done. For 8, is 3/10 less than, greater than, or equal to 38 hundredths? Is 3/10 greater than, less than, or equal to 38 hundredths? Think about if we're coloring that grid that we used last week, how many rows would we color? Would we shade? Yes, we would shade 3 rows compared to 38 small blocks. So we know that 3/10 is less than 38 hundredths. Now for C, I want you to complete this one on your own. Is 80 hundredths greater than, less than, or equal to 8 hundredths? Think about your place value chart and your grid. When I say grid, I'm talking about this grid that we used last week. Remember, there were 10 sections and we saw it in 100 pieces total. Think back to that assignment. And if you have to go look at it, be my guest. For number 8, here's where I was telling you, we're going to come back to the conversions. We are taking centimeters and changing them to meters. Centimeters, meters, centimeters, meters. How many centimeters are in 1 meter? How many centimeters are in 1 meter? That one is done for us, and we know it's 100 because 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. How about if we have 5 meters? 5 times 100 equals, yes, 500. Because for every 1 meter, we have 100 centimeters. What if we have 1,000 centimeters? How many meters would that be? What do I need to do here? I'm not going to multiply. I multiply it because I'm finding the smaller number. But what am I going to do here? Yep, we are going to divide. We're going to divide. What do I need to divide? Yes, 1,000 divided by 100. Instead of multiplying by 100, I'm going to divide. I'm finding the larger number. I already know the smaller number. And that is 10. 1,000 divided by 100 equals 10. 6,000 centimeters equal how many meters? Yep, I'm going to divide again. Divide by 100. And I have 60. 6,000 divided by 100 equals 60. Let's keep going. Look how small. Think of this as our whole. Remember that 100 grid we had? I know I keep going back to that. But it really helps us in this case, especially when we have to think of centimeters in comparisons to meters in such a small amount. I mean, a meter is long compared to a tiny centimeter. 1 centimeter equals 1/10. I'm sorry about that. 1/100th. One little tiny cube out of 100 equals a centimeter. 1 centimeter equals 1/100th. One little tiny cube equals a meter. So think how small a centimeter is in comparison to a meter. It's one small section of an entire meter. What about 3/100ths? How many centimeters would that be? 3. Multiplying that by 100. Remember, I'm moving this little decimal 2 places. I'm multiplying it by 100. 6/100ths. How many centimeters would that be? Yes, 6. Now, if I have 40 centimeters, how many meters would I have? Let's think about this. Now that I have 40 centimeters, how many meters would I have? Yes, this time I'm dividing by 100. And I have 0 and 40/100ths. Don't worry, guys, if this is confusing, if you don't understand everything right now. This is our first time looking at centimeters and meters. That's okay. I want you to do your very best. Go back and rewind this video as needed and end with your practice. Don't forget, when we add and subtract, we want to line our digits up by place value. We want to line them up by place value. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all she wrote for that assignment. Make sure you turn it in and submit it.